As a young architect, I was proud to be given the opportunity by my office to renovate the east wing of an old hospital on the outskirts of the city. I was accompanied by the hospital's caretaker, Mr. Patterson, a stocky middle-aged man who couldn't take his eyes off my breasts. If I wasn't aware of how men have difficulty keeping their gaze level, I could have taken it as an affront. However, I knew the effect of my charm on men. So he was not the first and wouldn't be the last of them. I tried to ignore his wandering eyes, especially as the work would not last longer than a couple of days and he would soon be out of my life. At the final inspection, Mr. Patterson and I went through all the rooms on the east wing to make sure that all renovations and modernizations were in perfect order before they filled the ward with modern medical equipment. We took a little longer to examine some rooms where the plumbing wasn't yet perfect, but all in all, everything went well. However, when we were about to inspect an operating room, we could smell disinfection products in the air, even before we entered. I asked Mr. Patterson why there was a smell of disinfectants even in a room that was not used. Mr. Patterson explained that maybe the maintenance workers had just disinfected the floor. I quickly reminded Mr. Patterson that I warned the security personnel that nobody was allowed to enter the east wing until we did our final inspection. Mr. Patterson said that the security personnel might have forgotten as he was an old man who didn't listen very well. I chuckled as I remembered that the old man was staring at my breasts more than listening to my voice. I told Mr. Patterson to find the maintenance workers and told them to stop whatever they were doing. Mr. Patterson quickly left. I quickly went inside the operating room to do the inspection while Mr. Patterson went to find maintenance workers. I heard someone say good evening to me not long after that. I turned and saw a young male doctor going into the operating room. I was about to tell him that the room was not ready yet when I was captivated by how good-looking he was. The young doctor went straight to the sink, turned on the tap, and washed his hands without even looking at me. For some reason, I was a bit disappointed that my charm was not working on this young doctor. I told the young doctor politely that the room was not ready to be used. The young doctor said sorry, turned off the water tap, turned around, and walked to the door. He politely said goodnight before walking out of the room. He did that without even looking at me. At that time I really wished that the doctor would have looked at me and asked me for a date. I sighed and continued my inspection. I approached the sink and turned on the tap, but no water coming out. I checked the pipe hasn't been connected. I was confused. I thought I saw the doctor wash his hands on the sink. I took a note and then went out of the room. I was surprised that it was already nighttime. No wonder the doctor said good night to me. As I walked in the hallway toward the main building, I noticed the old security personnel at the end of the hallway looked at me, then ran toward me. The old man shouted, "Miss Barlow, I didn't know that you were still here. Mr. Patterson and I were looking for you." "Where's Mr. Patterson now?" I asked the old man as we walked toward the main hospital building. The old man told me that Mr. Patterson already left home at 5 p.m. as it was already 9 o'clock in the evening. I was puzzled. I looked at my watch, it still showed 4:02 p.m. instead of 9:02 p.m. as what the old man said. But it was already nighttime as the lights were all off at the east wing and only a few rooms still light up at the main building. I must have spent more time inspecting the operating room than I thought. We went into the main building to meet the night guard to let him know that I would not need the service of the night guard any longer. I scolded the old security personnel for forgetting my order to keep everyone away from the east wing. The old man was confused and said that he didn't let anyone in except Mr. Patterson and me. But I told the old security personnel that he let that doctor, as my hand pointed to the photograph of the handsome doctor hanging on the wall, into the operating room to wash his hands. The old security personnel was even more confused as he said, "That was Dr. Poulsen. He was one of the founding members of this hospital and he already passed away over 30 years ago. But his picture was taken when he was still in his 20s.